Hello everybody, it's me Serena and this is the first video of Cartoons Drag Race. So this is one of the biggest shows which is happening right now in the cartoon industry. So we have seen a lot of rigors of Drag Race. So how about we make a cartoon Drag Race rejudging video? I know, right? That's so cunty. So I'm very new to this because I have already watched some things about how to do this shit. So yeah, sorry. So I will be trying my best to make it as objective and as fair as possible, and I hope you will enjoy the video. So this season actually was pretty good. It was the first ever season of Cartoons Drag Race with RuPaul cartoon, and there were 11 queens from all around cartoon universe, and there was indeed some rigged judging. I definitely agree with the placements, but judging was definitely rigged at some portions. So it's time to see where we could unrig them. I think that's what we say, lol. Sorry, this is my first video, but I hope I'll be more objective from next time onwards. Sorry for stuttering. So we will begin with episode 1, which was the design challenge. So this episode was pretty fair. Everyone did well. There was a clear judging difference. We pretty much know who was the best, who was the worst. So let's get on to it. So the first episode of the season was a design challenge, as I told earlier. Now this design challenge was really good. There was clear ideas on who should be the top, who should be the bottom. Only Chief Wiggum was the one who did bad. So Starmie absolutely mothered a deserved victory. Goofy and Cusco did really well. They were really good and they deserved their high placements. There could definitely be some other high placements. Because others also did really well. So, but I feel like Goofy and Cusco deserve the high placement because we know how the arcs would go. So it's best to give them a high placement this episode. As for the bottoms, I think the bottom three was pretty clear. Lois, Chan, and Chief Wiggum did not excelled. I think Lois was the best of the three, obviously, so she deserved that low. Stan and Chief Wiggums deserved. Now both of them did really fine in the lip sync, but based on the lip sync and how we know how potential, I think it's fair to send Chief Wiggum home. So that's why Chief Wiggum is the first queen to sashay away from the season. Now, based on the bottom two, I think sending Chief Wiggum was the correct decision because I don't think he has that potential, and I could see Stan doing well in the future episode if I was a judge. And yeah, I think that's the correct placements. Everything was pretty much fair, but I mean, episode 1 was pretty much fair, and the real storylines takes place starting from episode 2. So let's go. So episode 2 was a talent show, and I must say that was a pretty good talent show for the first time in CDR, so it was pretty good. I must say there was a clear tops and bottom division. I can definitely agree with the judging this time around. I think the minor change I would put is giving Starmie the win instead. Now when Starmie performs, it's just amazing, and I mean there was a clear top 2 this episode, Pink Panther and Starmie. They originally gave the win to Pink Panther, but I mean I really felt like Starmie deserved to win more slightly. Pink Panther was amazing, but maybe I could have given them a high placement instead with Lois, who was a clear third best in 9. This was a good episode. I think all three of them did really well, and especially Starmie and Pink Panther definitely demolished this episode, but giving Starmie the win instead makes sense. As for the bottoms, I agree with Stan's low placement. His talent show was not that interesting, but it was better than Patrick's and Mrs. Potts. Now Patrick and Mrs. Potts lip sync, it was quite a good lip sync. Both of them did well. Vroom Vroom is an amazing song, and glad it was finally released. They both did their best, but I agree with Patrick staying and Mrs. Potts going home. Now I love Mrs. Potts. Now I'm a huge Mrs. Potts stan. I love her a lot, but I feel like she was not on the production radar, and they had to find an excuse to send her home. And Patrick was a production fave after all. It makes completely sense when Mrs. Potts gone, and I really hope that she does well at All Stars 2. And yeah, I've not watched All Stars 2 yet. Well, I did, but let's keep the spoilers aside for now, lol. On to the episode 3. Now this was a Snatch Game episode, and I must say it was a pretty good Snatch Game. They did really well. I really agreed with the judging this episode. All the placements were agreeable. I must say the judging has been pretty fair. These first 3 episodes with some minor changes, that's all. This episode I completely agree. There was a fair division of best and the worst. So I must say it was a pretty good. I will give Homer the win. I think both Homer and Patrick were really good. Either of them could have won and I wouldn't have mind. But I think Homer's run was better overall and that made him won and I agree with that. Daffy and Stan both were competitors for the third high spot, but I mean I would give it to Daffy because he's an icon. As for the bottom three, I think I agree with this. Bottom as a whole, I mean, even Starmie could have been qualified for this as her snatch game was just good, but her runway was just stunning enough, so that was enough to save her. So I think I agree with Lois being low because the runway was the best of the three. The Daffy and Cusco's lip sync was horrible. I really didn't like it, and I expected both from these continuous bitches, but I guess they didn't serve. And I agree with Cusco's elimination because he flopped. Now this was sad elimination because I love Cusco, but I really think that Goofy kinda outsold them in the lip sync. It was a horrible lip sync, but I agree with Goofy staying. And Cusco's elimination is sad because they did very well almost every episode, but well, things happen and everyone has to go after all. So yeah, 3 episodes gone, not much rigging I must say. 3 episodes agreeable, but the real drama starts from the next episode. Let's see. Now, episode 4 was a dance challenge, and I must say so far this is the most strict episode. I do agree with the top placements, but what comes between and the bottom because I do disagree a lot with the bottom placements. Now, I do agree who were the worst for this episode, but I don't disagree with the rest of the things. Now I agree completely with Patrick's when he was the best this challenge. He was the only one who slayed and I must say that it was an amazing performance and he does deserve his win compared to the others. I agree with Goofy and Daffy being high. They both were amazing. I could see Stan being in the top, but I think as a whole I think they both did better than Stan and it's a great top two for me. Now here comes the bottom which I disagreed the most and for me it was very rigged. So for first of all, they originally placed Starmie, which I totally disagree with. Now I know Starmie, Homer, Lois, and Pink Panther were the worst four, and I agree with that. But the runway of Starmie was too good. I think it was valuable to give her a safe replacement, and I think Homer was better than Lois overall. I will must have Lois safe placement overall because for me Lois was the worst this episode alongside Pink Panther and should have lip synced for her life. Homer should have been low because his runway was better than Lois and Homer, Pink Panther and Lois lip sync. I don't understand why Lois was. I feel like I don't understand why they had completely biasness against Lois. I know she's cunty person, but again, for me, she was getting pushed a lot in some certain areas. I think her performance this episode was kind of poor, and she should have definitely bottomed. And if they really wanted to send on Pink Panther, they should have definitely made her bottom too, because I know she could have sent Pink Panther home easily without any controversy. Because to leave the thing, they could send Pink Panther home. Homer is not the perfect choice. Homer should have been low, and Lois sending her home would have been a perfect choice and would have been a great storyline. Lois sending Pink Panther home would have been a perfect storyline as a whole because I think that would help to set up Lois for a future runner-up placement of the season. So episode 5 started the main riggery of the season and especially this episode was very rigged. So this was a Trump Rusical episode and everyone did well except Patrick. I mean Patrick was also good but he was just fine. I mean everyone did well so it was based on the runway. So I think based on the runway Starmie, Daffy and Stan were the best overall and I given to Daffy the win because I think Daffy actually was amazing and deserved one win at least. As for the high, having given it to Starmie and Stan, I think giving it to Starmie high makes sense because she's our winner there. And Stan because I think it's good to give him one high placement before going home. I think this is one more fair. Originally, it was Goofy, which I don't understand why he got the win because it was just a good performance, but his runway was not on the next level. So he will get the low placement. I originally think the Lois Griffin should be low, but I think it's nice to give Lois at least one safe placement because she has been bottom a lot after all. As for the bottom two, I completely agree with who are the bottom two this episode. Patrick Star is definitely bottom and Homer Simpson also is valuable bottom two. I think both of them bottoming makes sense. And based on the lip sync, I would send home Homer Simpson. Though this is Patrick's second bottom, I feel like they would not send Patrick home at all because Patrick is literally production's favorite. And plus, they both have one win, so I think that could equivalent to them Homer Simpson going home. So this episode was pretty rigged. Like we had a completely different winner, and the winner originally was got the low placement, and nothing else changed. Pretty much, we basically got very different judging, and it's a fair judging this time. And I'm glad we got the fair judging. So let's hope that we could continue it. So this episode was a girl group challenge, and I must say it was a pretty good girl group challenge. All of them did well, but there was clearly one who did well, one who did kindly average. So this episode, I will give the win to Patrick. Now both Patrick and Daffy were amazing, and I could give either of them the win, but I think they would give the win to Patrick because he just was in bottom two for the second time, and giving him a second win would make sense. And plus, he did amazing, so it would make sense too. Daffy and Goofy High makes sense, and I think that does make sense. Now I think you can definitely justify Goofy low, but I would give it to Lois because originally the judges preferred Lois, but the originally judges actually gave Charming the low placement and Lois the low placement, bottom two placement. Sorry, now I don't agree with that. I understand Starmie ate the runway, but I feel like her runways can't always save her every time. That's why I think Starmie would be given a warning that her runways can't save her every time, and that's why I think Starmie would be bottom with Stan Marsh, and Lois will be low. Now Starmie would demolish Stan Marsh in the lip sync, and that would be good because it would help in the storyline. Now we are pretty much sure that Starmie would win the season, so giving Starmie a vulnerable bottom would be good because that's what a winner is, one vulnerable placement. And for Stan Marsh, getting a high placement before going home is also good because at least they have got a positive week before going home, and that's good. And yeah, that episode was pretty fine, but let's move on. So this is the Rumix episode and semi-final episode where we decide the four queens will be moving to the finale. The judging was fine. I think there was only one thing that could be changed. And first of all, I do agree with either of Starmie or Daffy winning, but I would think Starmie winning makes sense because the runway was slightly better according to me than Daffy, and she demolished the challenge. Daffy was amazing though, so I can agree with her being high. But now listen, I'll give Patrick Star the other high placement. His runway was the best of the night, and Lois had the worst runway. So that makes me think that Lois should be in the bottom two with Goofy. And that is why I think that. But this also means that there will be a placement change because Patrick was actually eliminated this episode. Now Lois and Goofy are the bottom two. This lip sync was horrible from Goofy's side, but Patrick flopped harder. So I think Lois could easily outbeat Goofy and would send Goofy home in the bottom two lip sync. So this is also a gag because Goofy actually made it to the finale and Patrick didn't, but now it's a different story. So now we have a new top four. So that's the track record of the top four. Daffy has 2 wins and no bottoms. Lois has 0 wins and 2 bottoms. Patrick Star has 2 wins and 2 bottoms. And Starmie has 3 wins and a bottom. So this is the track records, and let's see who will be the winner of the season. So nothing changes. The top two is still the same, Lois and Starmie, and they both lip sync for the crown. And in the end, the winner of the unrigged version of Cartoons Drag Race is Starmie. So basically, the season was pretty good, very good season indeed. Everyone did well. I must say, RuPaul Cartoon did amazing at hosting it. Starmie was an amazing winner, and Lois is a great runner-up. Thank you so much.